What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Vinny here. Tuning in live with you guys over here in Manhattan. So I want to talk with you about these charts. I'm not going to show you guys any charts today, but what I do want to share with you is just my perspective on the analysis that came from this gentleman who is a really good friend of mine, long time that he's been trading cryptocurrencies. I mean, he sends me in a Telegram chat dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of coins. Which ones right now? He'll send me a chart and then he'll send me like details and his research on it. Like, I mean, I feel blessed that I've been able to, basically the whole time get information from him, because I mean, let's face it, I don't have time to really look at every single one of those charts like he does. He does it for a living. So I get a little bit of the benefit of, just being buddy with him, and he can actually show me some of that information. And I always feel like the info that he gets is ahead of time. Like, that's what I've been noticing over the last year. So I want to share with you guys, I got his permission, obviously, to share this with you. I want to show you guys just some of the information that he put in the Telegram that we're going back and forth, and you guys obviously make your own opinion. This isn't financial advice. This shouldn't be construed as any sort of financial advice or anything. I'm not telling you guys to go buy this or sell that or whatever. It's just his perspective, my perspective, a little bit of our take on what's going on in the markets right now. Bitcoin, guys, I'm gonna tell you right now, Bitcoin is currently up. Let's see here. If you look at the Bitcoin right now, it is currently, the price is at $34,000 right now. So the price has dropped. I mean, you guys can see that little squiggly line that I drew there. That's back from January when we first saw this rise happen. So we're seeing something called a head and shoulders pattern. Head and shoulders pattern usually means that it's going to continue in that same movement. If you guys see, there's a lot of a big sharp spike here, but the price has dropped so much that it's giving a lot of indications that we're about to get into a bear market. What does bear mean? Bear just means it's going down. So how much more down? Well, we've seen this happen in the past before. We've seen the markets jump, and then we see them correct all the way down. In the last bear market in 2017, we saw it drop all the way down to as you guys can see right here, you see the price had fluctuated all the way up, and it corrected about 70% from its all-time high, which is a huge drop. But then you had all of this momentum building up again. So if you're hodling right now, I mean, my heart goes out to you guys, I tell you. See, this is why it is extremely important to not make your investment decisions based off of whether a price will go up or whether a price will go down. You base your financial decisions off of fundamentals, news, information, data that you have that can prove, evidence that shows you that if you're going to make that decision, that you're making as close to that right decision as possible. Would you agree? So he showed me a lot of data, a lot of information. So I'm just gonna give you guys a few little hints on. We're gonna go over more of this at 8 p.m. tonight, but just some of this detail that you guys just have to know right now. One of the things that he mentioned, usually he writes in French, so I gotta scroll through because, but he said there was a huge liquidation event that happened, a major liquidation event. So I'm gonna read some of this to you guys, okay, and just follow along. Any questions that you have, put it in the comments. Put it in the comments below. If you're liking this so far, if you guys are excited about what's gonna happen in the markets coming up soon, if you guys are confident that you made that right investment decision, investing in a crypto, put a heart right now. Let me see some hearts. So it says very liquidation amount. Liquidity was therefore at the level of current prices. The last move, actually, let me show you guys so you guys can take a look at it. So very impressive liquidation. Liquidity was therefore the level of current prices. The last move was very successful for the exchange. It's very likely this movement was fueled by the chain of bad news strewn with a timing that seems almost organized and by the movements of market makers. Let me just break that down. That simply means, what are we getting into right now, guys? Well, Bitcoin has seen such a huge jump for a particular reason. The main reason is simply because institutions have become involved. And guess what? They've brought all of their tricks to the table. They've brought all of their financial tools, their hedging strategies that they've utilized to this market, their shorting strategies to this market, where the person who just was simply buying Bitcoin because they believe in it and was hodling, they've been susceptible to that drop and the selling pressure, because a lot of these institutions are trying to take advantage of the selling pressure going down so they can come all the way back up. So in summary, what are institutions doing? They're bringing all of their old tricks of the trade, these huge hedge funds, these huge financial institutions, they're bringing their old school tactics, and they're applying it into the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency market because it's tiny. It's a little tiny market. So that's what we see when we look at this liquidation event, right? The liquidation event where all this bad news, right? It almost seems organized, how all of it was coordinated almost at the same time. Thanks, Elon Musk. So this, in order, on the one hand, to generate significant profit through major liquidations, but on the other hand, to clean up the market. So that's one thing that is very, very important to consider, guys, is that, you know, even if you see down here what he talks about, so these are not conditions that allow smart money meaning big institutions, to sell their immense amounts of Bitcoin, as there will be no one to sell to. The price will quickly drop to 3,000. On the contrary, we need a market euphoria. Absolutely agree with that. What does he mean by market euphoria? Actually, he says it right here. So to put it simply, a pessimistic and depressed market is conducive to the installation of a market bottom, right? So if people lose faith and people lose confidence, right, the morale is low, then it's going to continue to drop, right? As what happened during the crisis back then in March 2020 when we were all locked down. So when there was a euphoric market that was conducive to the installation of the market top, right? As what we saw in December 2017. So this is extremely important. Right now, the market will continue to bottom out as long as we have a low confidence. If people continue to have a low confidence, then the market will continue to bottom out or stabilize at that low. The only other way it could possibly rise again is getting a euphoria, some major news event that will instill confidence again. Guys, he goes over so much more in these strew of messages that he had sent to me, mentioning how Bitcoin impacts other altcoins, and whether or not altcoins are going to be, whether or not they're affected by this down market and different So here's what we're going to do, right? What do you do if you're currently hodling? What are you doing if you bought potentially all the way up at the top, and right now your wallet is not looking that good? What do you do in those situations? Well, I put a video earlier today in my Facebook. If you guys want to go check it out, it's from Robert Kiyosaki, and he talks about it from an investment standpoint to the millennial investor, right? Who millennial investors are very new in the investment game, and he gives his sage advice and talks about sage, not advice, but he gives his sage words of wisdom. And they're talking about how when you get into a market, what are different crucial moments in which you can actually generate a big upside, and reasons why you would make a decision like that, right? How do you time that properly? So he goes over that in the video. I want you guys to go make sure you check out that video. But also, we're gonna go over a specific strategy that we've been using. And when I say we, I mean myself, including many of my friends, many of which are right now all throughout the world. And over the last 2 years that we've been using this strategy in a down market before this whole euphoria with Bitcoin happened, right, guys? All that euphoria that everybody was experiencing, the rise, right? We're back to the price that we had back in January, and we're still making money with it. Why? Because if you're hodling, maybe it's time that you consider trading. I don't necessarily mean selling, but I do mean trading one asset that's potentially dropping, for example, Bitcoin and Ethereum, to another asset that is potentially going up, potentially one of these altcoins in the short term. Build yourself a short-term strategy to insulate yourself from your long-term hodling strategy. All right, we're gonna go over that more in depth tonight. I'm gonna include a Zoom link here in the comments below. Any of you who actually want to know what strategies you could do right now to insulate yourself from hodling over the long term, and actually generate a little bit more of a positive momentum in your portfolio and your wallet short term, contact me. All right, guys. With that said,